Right now, we're going to get to pre-recorded comments from Denton Daley of Brampton, Ontario, talking about, well, Corey, your favorite fighter, and how he draws inspiration.
Look up to, or even maybe try to mold yourself.
I love Ray Robinson, #1. You know, he's just a killer left hook. And I really like Mike Tyson. But, you know, physical abilities and just natural boxers, I like Roy Jones. I think that he set the way for any new boxer, anybody, because a lot of people don't get into boxing because they think, oh, I haven't been boxing since I was 10 years old, so it's not even worth it. You know what I mean? Roy never did anything textbook. You know, so he gives you that confidence that, you know what, if you're an athlete, you can go in there and you figure it out yourself. You know, he gives you that confidence that you don't even need to be boxing for that long to make great things happen. So Roy is definitely at the top of my list. But Ray Robinson, the tough, you know, those guys were just a different breed at that time. They're just extremely tough. They didn't have resources like we have today. They didn't have supplements that we take today. So, you know, those guys I'll always put at the top, you know, Ray Robinson, Rocky. Yeah, Floyd Patterson is another one, definitely. Liston. So, you know, I always, you know, you got to tip the hat off to those guys every step of the way, every fight, every day you step into the ring, you got to think about those guys. Yeah.
Perfect.
Denton Daley is up next against Benito Quiroz. Here's Thomas Triber.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the ring, fighting tonight out of the blue corner, Benito Quiroz.
A little variation of Crazy Train, chosen as the theme song for Benito Quiroz, comes from Mexico. Does the theme song match his style in the ring, Corey?
Well, I didn't know that Black Sabbath was popular in Mexico, but I guess they're a worldwide entity. You know, Quiroz is a guy who swings for the fences. And all the tape that I've seen of him, he's looking for a knockout all the time. And in all of his victories, that's the way he's done it. 6 knockouts. And his lone loss, nothing to be ashamed of. Sal Montana, a very good fighter, was challenged for the light heavyweight title, the cruiserweight title. His major losses came to Vasily Girov and to James Toney, so no shame there. But Quiroz, he's getting on in years, and to be completely honest with you, I didn't know if he was going to be able to make the cruiserweight limit. He wasn't in terrific shape in the previous fights, and he hasn't fought since 2009, but he has gotten himself into at least the cruiserweight weight limit. Let's see if that translates into a different style or into a different Benito Quiroz here tonight.
Certainly looks like an intimidating figure, and often that tells a lot in a boxing fight as Benito Quiroz makes his way to the ring here at the Hershey Center.
Walking slower than Giant Gonzalez to the ring here, though.
One note, in the programs, it does say that this is a heavyweight fight, and it is not. In fact, it is a cruiserweight tilt. Both men weighing in and around the 195 mark, making weight for a cruiserweight fight.
That's right. And we're going to see Denton Daley enter in just a moment, and they're campaigning him at cruiserweight.
And now let's welcome to the ring, fighting tonight out of the red corner, Dangerous Denton Daley.
Well, while Benito Quiroz has fought once before at the Powerade Center, Denton Daley has fought here twice before. He is a native of Brampton, Ontario. He must have a lot of friends and family in the house tonight. And this is a very important fight for him. His second home, of course, being in Kitchener, Ontario. There you see the jewel, Sid Vanderpool, in his corner.
Former super middleweight title challenger, Sid Vanderpool, and he's been very high on Denton for quite some time. And that video package that we showed, Arda, shows why. He's an athlete who is coming to box, and that's something that boxing doesn't get a lot of. Let's face it, there are a lot better ways sometimes to make a living than to get punched in the head. As an athlete, there are other options. You can play football, you can do other things. Boxing doesn't get athletes the caliber of Denton Daley too often, and that's why people are so high on him right now.
That's why I'm perfectly happy behind the microphone.
I am too.
Let's get to the official introductions from Thomas Schreiber.
Ladies and gentlemen, the action continues here at the Hershey 10th Center on Rogers TV and is being brought to you by United Boxing Promotions in association with Hennessy Sports, MO Productions, and Tiger Management. It is sponsored by TransClean Protein, Everlast, PartyStarPoker.com, Superstock.com, Pillar Security, and BoxingExaminer.com. This bout coming your way is scheduled for 6 rounds in the cruiserweight division, and our 3 judges are Kelly Zolnierczak, Alan Davis, and Harry Davis. Our referee in charge, the 3rd man in the ring, will be Rocky Zolnierczak. Introducing to you first, fighting tonight out of the blue corner. He's wearing black trunks and weighed in at 195 3/4 pounds. Coming to us from Nuevo Laredo, Tamaulipas, Mexico. His professional record, 6 wins, just 1 defeat, with all 6 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Benito Quiroz. And his opponent across the ring, fighting tonight out of the red corner. He's wearing black trunks with gold and weighed in at 193 3/4 pounds. Hailing from Brampton, Ontario, Canada, he is undefeated with 4 wins, and 2 of his 4 wins come by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Dangerous Denton Daley.
Fighters to the center. Okay, fighters, I went over my instructions in the change rooms. I expect you to obey my commands at all times. Protect yourself at all times. Touch up.
So Denton Daley takes on Benito Quiroz. There's a little bit of tail of the tape. Very small discrepancy in weight.
Yeah, and Quiroz, like I said, certainly in the best shape that he's ever been in his career, coming way down from heavyweight to make the cruiserweight limit. You have to wonder if he had any difficulty getting down here, though.
Certainly most fans watching Rogers TV and watching boxing in this building will remember Denton Daley's debut at heavyweight, where he defeated Irving Chestnut.
A vicious knockout, just a vicious pounding that he put on Irving Chestnut, who was also making his pro debut that night. And I think he earned a lot of fans that night because he ended things conclusively, and it was certainly a wild and bloody affair that night.
Both men content at the moment to feel each other out. We know about that South American spirit, well, in this case, the Central American spirit, that Mexican fighting spirit, and Quiroz is no exception to that.
Yeah, but there aren't many Mexican heavyweights, so we're waiting to see if Quiroz is going to start coming forward in that traditional Mexican sense. One thing we can see, that Roy Jones Jr. influence on Denton Daley. He's almost, I won't say a mirror image of Roy, because no one can do it quite like Roy, Arda, but he looks like a guy who's watched a lot of Roy Jones Jr. tape. We'll put it that way.
Absolutely. There's a nice flurry right there, pushing Quiroz back to the ropes.
Quiroz smiled, but it didn't look like he reacted well to that punch in reality.
You got to wonder, whenever a fighter smiles, is it because he's actually hurt and masking it, or if it's because he's toying with his opponent? I guess time will tell.
Well, that's the golden rule. Typically, if you say it doesn't hurt, apparently it does in boxing.
Nice shot there. Yeah, you talk about Roy Jones' influence. How about that right there?
Yeah, lead right hand, stepping aside. I'm sure he has the best of Roy Jones Jr. collection.
You got to wonder if Denton Daley's opponents in the future will not only watch his fight tape, but Roy Jones as well, just based on the amount that he's imitating him in the ring.
Well, it's dangerous sometimes, because there are fighters like Denton Daley. There are a lot of Roy Jones Jr. kind of imposters out there, and he needs to be careful not to open up, not to get hit with a big shot from Benito Quiroz, even though he isn't throwing anything back. And I don't think he's going to be in a terrible amount of danger here, Arda. When he steps up the competition, he's got to be wary of that.
Well, he is in the cruiserweight division right now. We did mention he started at heavyweight. He feels more comfortable at cruiserweight. We did have a chance to speak with Sid Vanderpool earlier. He did say that Denton Daley belongs in the cruiserweight division right now, and that's where he will stay.
And I think it's the right decision because, you see, he could fight at heavyweight. All he'd really be doing in that case, a hard uppercut there.
Nice shots there. Nice big left hand there. And he's unloading on Quiroz right there with all of his might. You can see he's throwing everything into those shots. He just stepped back just for a second there. But, man, that was a huge flurry right there. And he causes excitement. You can tell that's what he has in mind. First and foremost, it's let's end the fight, but let's make it exciting.
Well, and that illustrates why he's best suited at cruiserweight. Again, yeah, he's big enough to be a heavyweight if he wants, but at cruiserweight, not only does he have that hand speed and the foot speed we're seeing, but he's strong. And at heavyweight, he wouldn't be a murderous knockout puncher. Here at cruiserweight, below 200 pounds, he is.
Round one comes to a close. Clearly a Denton Daley round, and he did it with flash and pizzazz, Corey.
He did, and I think he's seeing right now that he needs to sit down on his punches, that he has the opportunity to sit down on his punches. He doesn't need to move as much as he is against Benito Quiroz because Quiroz is standing right in front of him.
We take a look at the highlights, Corey. Here's that last punch flurry.
And he catches Benito coming forward again, just like the last knockout. He catches him on his back foot. But this is what he can do with a guy like Quiroz who doesn't have fantastic footwork. Denton Daley, good on his feet, spins him and gets leverage and gets space here on his punches. If I'm in Denton Daley's corner, though, I'm telling him, don't smother yourself quite as much as you did right there. Step back, and as I was saying, sit down, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him get Quiroz out of here.
We were talking about that power advantage for someone like Daley who's coming down from heavyweight versus other people who may be coming up to cruiserweight. We're going to see, just like in that highlight pack, we're going to be able to see Daley throw his fighters around and put them in positions that he wants them to be in.
Exactly, and that would be something he wouldn't have the luxury of at heavyweight, and that's why I'm very happy. I know they were struggling with this decision for a little while. Where do we campaign Denton? It's a little bit harder to find cruiserweight fights here in North America than it is to find heavyweights, but I think he's found a home here, sub 200.
Daley perfectly comfortable in fighting at range or close proximities against Quiroz. Quiroz is not having an easy time right now, and you can see there's marks on his face already beginning to form, particularly from that flurry.
And you can tell he's going to have an advantage in athleticism against basically anyone that he fights. I mentioned he is an athlete. He was a basketball player first. He's in the gym. He's a gym rat. And he chose boxing. And again, that's why it's special to see someone who could have done something else choose the sweet science instead.
Sometimes athletes often talk about the individuality of a sport versus team sport. It's all on you. It's just you and versus your opponent there, and everything you do, it's all your decisions. You don't rely on anybody else, and maybe that's what Denton Daley is channeling here. Particularly in this fight, he is in control.
One thing that Roy would criticize Mr. Daley for, however, is that he's not sitting down on the left hook the way that Roy Jones Jr. would. He's throwing that off of his back foot. He's throwing it kind of as an exclamation mark to his combinations, but he's falling back as he's doing it. He has opportunities like that to sit down and dig that downstairs. Let's see if he can keep that up.
There's a little bit of a flurry now from Quiroz, and he's just allowing him to punch, and my goodness, he ate a couple of punches there, and he's perfectly fine, and he turns the tables around. Boy, he's got the crowd riled up. He is an exciting fighter, I'll give you that. Denton Daley just stood there and said, give me your best shot.
Just an ode to Ricardo Mayorga there along the ropes. But now... Well, now he knows that Quiroz can't hurt him, and...
Well, talk about a blow to confidence. I mean, what is Quiroz thinking? He's thinking, he let me punch him a couple times, and I couldn't even do any damage.
Wide open. An uncontested right hand couldn't hurt Denton Daley there. Again, you have to wonder what that weight drop did to Benito Quiroz. When I saw him at the main event weigh-in just a couple days ago at Real Sports here in Toronto, he was wearing 4 shirts, Arda, so you have to imagine he was sweating down a little bit to make the limit.
Of course, the 5-shirt limit in effect.
Yeah, the 5-shirt limit in effect.
Big overhand right there, misses the mark. Nice shot there. Nice right hand lands on Quiroz. Nice body shot as well. Denton Daley, with 10 seconds left in this round, really utilizing a wide range of arsenal here against Quiroz, and this is certainly a flamboyant fight, to say the least. What is Quiroz thinking at this point?
I'm sure he's frustrated. He's pushing his punches. He looks a little belabored in the ring right now. But for Denton Daley, he saw that he has openings with Quiroz, and he saw in the first round that he could hit him at will.
Take a look at the highlights right here.
And he spent this round kind of clowning around and using the ring space when he doesn't have to.
Right here. Here it comes. Go ahead, please.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah. Oh, I took one right in the chin. No. Second one? No, not at all. I'm going to knock that one, and there you go. Here's a couple for yourself.
And again, Daley, he doesn't have to be using his legs right here, Arter. And that's why if you're in his corner right now, Sid Vanderpool should be telling him, listen, you could probably get this guy out of there. Sit down and let's focus on punching.
Is Sid Vanderpool saying cut it out right now?
You know, it looks like Denton's having a good time. He's still smiling. Sid is still smiling as well. But they have to know that in order to become a marketable fighter, the crowd doesn't want to see you dance around a guy and school him for 4 rounds here when you don't have to.
Round number 3 is underway. Even more interesting to the saga of Denton Daley is he's a very soft-spoken guy outside of the ring. So it's a complete transformation when he steps between the ropes.
Yeah, here he is taunting fighters. Usually he comes out with an entourage, and he's had a rapper follow him to the ring before. He's completely different when the lights come on. See, here in the center of the ring is where Daley could stay with him because he has the hand speed advantage. And that's where he can really open up and show his power.
Daley circling Quiroz, throwing combinations. Both men now positioned in the center of the ring. This one scheduled for 6. This round is similar to the Logan McGuinness versus Benoit Godet fight, where later in the rounds McGuinness was godding Godet, pardon the pun, to follow him in the ring as opposed to being chased. And that's what Daley is doing right now. He's allowing Quiroz to come to him.
What's unusual, though, is that he's leading him to the ropes, but then he isn't doing anything. He's spinning him around and then coming back to the center of the ring. If you're going to try to set traps, throw a punch when you set the trap.
Is there anything to be said about the stamina at this point, or do you think this is all showmanship?
I think this is showmanship, but this is also how he's used to fighting. Is how he won fights in the amateurs, and again, he's trying to fight like his idol. This is how he knows how to fight.
Even though this is his least active round, he is still showing some combinations. He's still flashing those combinations. He's still working around the ring.
The problem is that he's pot shot. He's throwing this right hand and then he's moving away. If you're going to throw the right hand, you've seen that you can hurt Quiroz with it. He did it in the first round, so follow it up.
Quiroz still has some welts on his back from when he was thrown around in the first round by Daley.
And that shows the physical strength that Daley has. And I don't know that he knows the kind of strength that he could have if he sat down on his punches and threw that right hand straight and didn't loop it or fall away like he did right there.
Seconds to go in round number 3. Perhaps the least eventful of the 3, if you're counting the flashiness and cockiness of Denton Daley.
And Denton's still smiling. He's having an easy time here. And now's the time to turn it on for the fourth.
3 rounds to 0 for Denton Daley.
Yeah, it's been a complete shutout. Benito Quiroz, short of the 2 punches that Daley allowed him to land, has really not landed anything else, anything of significance.
You take a look at some highlights here from the round.
Again, Denton circling, and he's in the center of the ring, and this is where he could be. You can see he puts his punches together, but he's kind of leaning back a little bit. He's throwing those off the back foot because he's always thinking about moving somewhere else. And the remainder of the round, he was trying to set traps on the ropes. He was leading Quiroz where he wanted to bring him, but he wasn't doing anything when Quiroz opened up. You'd like to see him land something flush here in the fourth like we know he can.
We mentioned earlier that Denton Daley is no stranger to the Peel region in Mississauga and Brampton. He has fought here twice before in the Hershey Center, made his debut here. He lives in Brampton, Ontario, trains out of Kitchener with the Vanderpools. Quiroz has fought in the Powerade Center just up the road, 7 kilometers north in Brampton once before.
He also fought in Barrie as well. He's doing a tour of these OHL arenas.
That's right, yes. Home of the Mississauga St. Michael's Majors. It looks like Denton Daley, though, is more active now in round number 4, as he has a little bit more pep in his step, as they say. Blocks the body shot there from Quiroz. If you're Denton Daley, if you're the crew surrounding Denton Daley, what are your thoughts concerning how many times Daley should fight in 2012?
Well, he has said that he wants to be very active, and you can see that he can have a very easy time with a lot of fighters. He doesn't take a lot of punishment. He's not a guy who takes a lot of risks out there in the ring, and he's a guy who's always in shape. I mentioned he's always in the gym and would be whether he were a boxer or not. So you can get him fighting this year 5-6 times and get that record to a point where you can start fighting for some Canadian titles and some regional gold.
You know, it's a very good point about just the overall athlete. When you are one of those people, a Mr. Perfect, so to speak, who's just good at every single sport,
yes,
it really translates to transferable skills, as we mentioned, and also just being able to pick up things so quickly. And it looks like Denton Daley, from each fight that we see him, is picking up something new, a new wrinkle to his game.
Yeah, and it's very easy for him. And this is similar to the fight that we called last time here on Rogers Arda with Lionel Thompson, Lonnie B. It was very easy for him, and he knows that he is a better boxer and he's a better athlete, and he can essentially walk circles around any of these fighters. And Denton is in that situation right here, but the problem is if he's not landing punches, he's landing some heat from the crowd.
Lonnie B, in fact, will be in action at that Buffalo card we were talking about. That's at right. The end of the month. He's in the main event, being from Buffalo. We have seen him here. His motto was easy work. It was easy work for Lonnie B the last time we were here.
Quite easy work for Denton Daley right here. Someone from the crowd, Arda, just yelled, if you want to be a star, you've got to shine, baby.
Well, I think from the first couple of rounds, he's really shown that he has star qualities. But I do believe as well, I agree that there needs to be a little bit more action here for him to really solidify his position. Are his shots a little bit less crisp than in the first couple of rounds?
Well, they are, and it's because he's kind of flicking them out there. He's always bouncing around on his toes. He's not sitting down, and I keep repeating this, but that's the best advice that you could give him right now. He has a guy who isn't going to throw anything back and wasn't going to go anywhere. And to me, Arda, it looked like he did the bare minimum here in these 4 rounds.
Nevertheless, we're still on our scorecards anyway, a shutout going into the 5th round. And Quiroz, despite the less crisp shots we were talking about, still more welts on his face. We take a look at some highlights from this round, Corey.
Yeah, not a lot to choose from here in this, Arda. It was fairly dreary. But, again, when Denton wants to, when he throws that jab, it gets through. But he's kind of pawing with it. He's kind of throwing it out there.
We're seeing a little bit of that warrior spirit from Quiroz, though. He eats shots, he's still coming forward. You know that. It's sort of like Antonio Margarito. You're just not going to be able to stop the guy, and he's just going to keep coming forward.
And to his credit, he wasn't discouraged by the fact that he landed those open shots on Denton Daley and didn't get the knockout. He has continued to come forward.
Round number 5 of a scheduled 6 between Denton Daley and Benito Quiroz. Uppercut there by Daley. Big looping right hand by Daley. Nice combinations there. You can see the sweat flying off of Quiroz's head. Nice body shot there. More shots landed here by Daley.
Yeah, and see, with his back to the ropes there, he was forced to just throw punches. He wasn't thinking about where he was going next. He wasn't trying to duck out and counter something immediately. He sat down and landed those punches, and that shows that when he wants to or when he's forced to, he can do it.
Looks like he's using his jab more in this round too. This is the round where he's decided to throw that out there for good measure. Although right there he led with a nice right hook.
Sid Vanderpool calling for that overhand right, and that's something we're just seeing in this round, and it's probably a good idea considering that left eye on Benito Quiroz is closing up. He can't see that coming right now, Arda. So in fact, putting a little arc on his right hand is actually going to be a benefit for him right now.
You can see it swollen shut there. Yes, you're absolutely right. The left eye, we can't necessarily see it from this vantage point, but you will be able to see it completely swollen.
And you can see because of the eye, Quiroz trying to keep the proximity very close right now because he can feel his opponent and he can try and just gauge where he's going and what he's doing because he can't see it. He needs to actually be able to touch him to know what's going on.
It's a big mouse right underneath the eye that's causing the swelling. Now Daley landing combinations again with his back against the ropes. It's when he's doing the most volume. And again, now he's feeding off of the crowd. Now he's starting to rile up. He's pulling the string to his lawnmower there, so to speak,
exactly.
And it's starting to rev up there
and
a little bit.
Every time he goes downstairs, he's creating openings for himself upstairs. And to me, if I'm in there with a fighter who had to wear 4 shirts to get down to cruiserweight, Arda, I'm going to try to dig to the soft body, and that's something that Daley should maybe target if he's looking for that knockout blow.
Nice body shot there. Nice combination by Daley. Daley continues on. He's able to duck under Quiroz's shots with 10 seconds left in round number 5. Some more flashiness from Daley in this round. That was a push that will not be counted as a knockdown as the round comes to an end.
Now, there really isn't anything on Quiroz's punches right now. I don't know if that has anything to do with his eye or not, but he just kind of flung a couple left hooks out there with absolutely nothing on them, Arda. Denton Daley has a man basically out on his feet in front of him, and he needs to really push to close the show here in the 6th.
As we take a look at some highlights from round number 5, really you could tell that Daley's confidence is growing with every single round.
And that right hand that we saw to open the sequence there, that might have been the one that started closing that right hand, because it didn't look the way that it does right now, Arda, at the beginning of the round. So I think those right hands paid immediate dividends in the 5th round.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's cheer these 2 fighters on. This is the 6th and final round.
Well, the first fight here at Young Guns to go to its final round in a fight. Round number 6 between Quiroz and Daley. Here we are underway. Daley again moving backwards, baiting Quiroz to come towards him. That eye is even more swollen shut now, the left eye of Quiroz.
Yeah, that is completely shut. And I'm sure after the fight, they've got to be checking for damage to the orbital bone. You mentioned Antonio Margarito before as the kind of face-first, come-forward brawler that we expected to see here tonight. We have. But this is exactly what his eye looked like when he fought Manny Pacquiao and had to have gruesome surgery afterward. Let's hope that isn't the case for Quiroz, but it isn't looking good on his face right now.
Nice straight shot there by Daley. Now those straight shots are landing flush. He looks like he's just picking apart his shots like a scientist. Look at that, as he tripped around the corner there, getting to Quiroz. Like there may have been a little bit of fire there, or caused a little bit of fire between these 2 fighters, as both of them now. Nice shots there. Moving backwards, like you said, Corey, moving backwards, still landing 1-2 combinations.
I just wonder what would happen if he would push the fight and move forward. Because he is physically stronger than Quiroz, despite the fact that Quiroz was a heavyweight. He's not as strong as Denton Daley. Denton could be pushing him around, and he can't see.
Over half gone in this round. Only a little bit more than a minute left. Another 1-2 combination. Daley is really landing these flush, as we mentioned earlier in the round. Uppercut attempt there by Quiroz doesn't make it.
Again, Arda, he's throwing 1-2 and then stopping, either clinching or spinning. He's not putting 3 and 4 together, and he has the hand speed to do it.
You can see that looping left hand there out of desperation by Quiroz. He looked exhausted as he threw it. Looks like Daley clearly the fresher man here, though he's not. Oh, nice shot there. Double combination, 3 in a row lands on Quiroz's face, and another 2 right there.
Rocky Zolnerchek having a look right now. Quiroz did a little wobble there in trying to step back, and that eye is really not looking good.
Right there in that clinch, he definitely, through his peripheral vision, could not see a right hand coming.
No, and referee Rocky Zolnerchek just told Quiroz, keep your hands up, you got to do something.
Nice shot there. He landed a left hand to that left side of Quiroz's face.
Well, Quiroz is going to make it seems, Arna.
As we get to the final seconds of this fight. And there you have it, Denton Daley receiving a raucous applause from the crowd. Benito Quiroz being looked at by his corner. That eye does not look good. As you can see on your screen, there is ice on it already through that towel, and that does not look good. The damage has been done, and certainly enough for Daley to win this fight.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm taking a look at Quiroz's corner right now, and I don't know that they have Enswell in the corner. And you remember that was the reason that Mike Tyson lost to Buster Douglas. They didn't pack Enswell. There doesn't seem to be Enswell in the corner of Benito Quiroz, and his eye is completely shut as a result.
Now, that being said, Enswell could have been the major factor in the Tyson fight. In this fight, I think Daley still would have been able to control.
He was going to win anyway, but if their fighter has his eye closed or has some serious damage, I mean, you have to point to just a lack of confidence in the corner.